Hey there, I was actually about to go for a walk, but it started to rain, so I've decided to pull out the camera and share something with you that's come up with some of our members in Zen Academy. And one of the themes that's popping up is something that's not talked about often in the transformational space. In fact, it's really quite ignored, and that is when we go through a transformation, when we go through a change or a shift because of the work that we're doing, and other people around us haven't gone through that change. And what that does is it creates a fracture, creates some tension point in the relationship. And this can put that relationship under some pressure. And, one of our members is finding it difficult because some of their relationships are starting to deteriorate. And a relationship really flourishes on unity. So if, two people are very stressed and unhappy, then there's a lot of unity, there's a lot of commonality there. And that relationship could actually be a very successful relationship. But when one person moves out of that space and they start being, reaching greater horizons and starting to reach greater capacity, make more use of their potential and feel lighter and happier, then what that does is that creates a bit of a divide in the relationship. And we start to see some tension starting to rise. And it can get quite confusing for people along the way. And really, we've got one of three choices in this situation. And getting through this is quite a complex and challenging process, but it does require some attention and some recognition of what's actually happening here. So the first option we have is that we go down back into what I call Shitsville. It's where everyone's unhappy and we're all stressed and we're all cranky and we're all miserable and we're not reaching our fullest potential. And we can go back to that place where we've got unity again and we've got connection, and that might work for a period of time, but eventually you're going to go, that's not where you want to be again. But it is a default, and there's some self-sabotaging that can happen as we tend to reach up, notice that it's putting some relationships under pressure, and come back down so that we can maintain those relationships. In the end, we find that a very uncomfortable experience because we know that's not where we want to be. Another option is that we can, without being patronizing or forceful or bestow some belief systems upon other people, but hopefully inspire other people to come and join us on that journey, to be part of that experience and to inspire them to come along in that level of transformation. And then what happens is we get two people up at the next level. We next level up and we bring other people with us, and that can bring more unity, more connection. And that's the second option, and that's obviously a very healthy and preferred option. The third option is, if that's not going to happen and we start to see the divide accelerate, we start to see the gap widen, and it creates more and more tension, more and more conflict. At some point, the connection and the relevance of being continuously in each other's space might have served its purpose. And at that point, we need to gracefully surrender the need to continuously be in that person's presence if it's just simply not working out. Now, that sounds really harsh and it sounds really uncomfortable. It's probably why it's not talked about much. Because we're seeing a potential fading of the dynamic of that relationship. It doesn't mean that the relationship's over. It just means that the requirement to continually be in each other's space might not be there. It might be a friendship. I've got a lot of friendships that aren't in the same dynamic that they used to be. Doesn't mean that the friendship's not there. It's just a very different dynamic. It's not, hey, let's catch up every weekend and do the same thing we used to do, which is go to the pub and get really wasted. We might catch up on different terms, maybe every few months, and go out for a quiet dinner. So finding a new dynamic in that relationship and not just getting stuck in what it always has and always will be is a really important part of the process. And this is one of the things we talk about in transformational leadership, the Zen Academy. How do we navigate our way through these changes that we're going through and the effect that that's playing out in our relationships? Because it can have a big effect, and it's a very complex and sensitive process to move through, because we don't want to cause conflict, we don't want to cause disturbance, we don't want to cause other people to feel uncomfortable or unhappy. So trying to gracefully find our way through that. And one of the great bridges that I find really helps get through these challenges is 5 simple words that I use. And that is, I understand how you feel. And that what that does is that bridges the gap, and it makes some level of connectivity to those people. And I actually had a client come to me just recently that their brother, who was in a very stressed and unhappy and angry place, was being quite challenging on this person, a friend of mine who was a very light and very vibrant and happy person. And I explained to them that what was actually happening there was a deep sense of love, even though it was expressed in a way that you wouldn't imagine it to be expressed. This, brother who was very angry and cranky was wanting to literally punch his lights out. But I said to my friend, what he's actually trying to do is he's trying to connect with you. He's trying to find a level of connection just at his level, and he doesn't know how to get to your level. He hasn't done the years of work that you've been doing. You've done retreats and you're meditating every day and you're doing your yoga and you're reading your books and going to your courses. And he hasn't done any of that. So it's very difficult for him to make that immediate leap up into that space that you're in. And the easiest option is for him to bring you into his space, but that's still inspired by love. And once we understand the mechanics of what's going on there, it makes it so much easier to connect with them. Not from a patronizing viewpoint, not from, hey, I can fix your life. None of that. It's just like, hey, I understand how you feel and I'm here for you. I'm here together. We're here together. Let's hang out and find a way through this. And just being really humble, really gentle, really loving, and really understanding, I think, is the way to navigate through this complexity of relationship dynamics changing as we change. And just remembering, if you're the one that's the one going through the transformation, you're the one that's fracturing those relationships. You're the one that's putting those relationships under pressure. You're the one creating the point of difference, not them. And so we have to be empathetic to that we're the one that's potentially causing that relationship to get a little bit deteriorated, and to be very compassionate and gentle and kind about that process. Look, I hope that helps. We do talk a lot about this in Zen Academy. If you want to find out more about how to be on these fortnightly calls, just click that link below. Come and have an interview with me. We'll talk about whether it's going to be a good fit for you. We'd love to chat with you. So have a great day, and we'll chat again soon, hopefully.